Warning: the following video may contain harsh language, crude humor, and may offend unintentionally, and is an affiliate of Scythering Productions. The opinions and comments expressed do not reflect those of the Scythering team. All credit and criticism shall be warranted to TWS Productions. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to That Wrestling Show. We're going to go back to an old format that has worked. It's worked quite a bit on another show that used to be on this syndication. But, however, we're going to just try something new this week. There are three big stories that are just kind of breaking right now. We're going to just briefly discuss them and give my thoughts on exactly what's going on. The first big story that just came out, it actually came out last night, believe it or not, Low Ki, in a recent interview, had mentioned that WWE is looking for entertainers, but not wrestlers. He had worked in the company, he had worked for the business for 12 years, and he's not into making himself look like a fool when he spent so much time trying to be a professional wrestler. He doesn't have any malice or ill will towards WWE. It's just that he thinks that, for him, he'd prefer to be called a wrestler, not an entertainer. As far as when he's going to be returning to ROH, they have yet to contact him if he's going to return. He says he would welcome the idea, but he is a businessman. So Low Ki kind of laying down the shimmy a little bit, kind of says that WWE doesn't have wrestlers anymore. They're all about entertainers. And Low Ki, I kind of agree with you, to be 100% honest. WWE's been like that for a long time. They don't necessarily use the term wrestling anymore. They call them sports entertainers, or they call them entertainers or athletes. They kind of steer away from the word wrestling, and they might be starting to get back into it, but it's just interesting to see that Low Ki, who's now working for TNA, because let's face it, he's got bills to pay, kind of bashes WWE, but says he has no malice towards them, and yet he knew what he was getting into when he signed up with them, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. He knew what he was getting into, but at the same time, he didn't like the fact that he wouldn't be called a wrestler. So it's kind of like, well, if you knew you were getting into, why did you continue? But that's just me. The second big thing news is John Laurinaitis is actually under hot water for not being able to re-sign CM Punk to a contract. Vince and Triple H are said to be extremely pissed off at John Laurinaitis, as this is the second time that something like this has happened. For those of you that don't know, John Laurinaitis apparently is in charge of, I guess, not talent relations, but I guess is kind of in charge of all the signings and the bookings and all that stuff. At least that's what this report's telling me. The other time he got in trouble was with Chris Jericho last year. Now, the funny thing is, Chris Jericho wanted to leave WWE, not leave permanently, but just leave to, kind of do his own thing, go back with Fozzy, write a book, do whatever it is that Chris Jericho does. He came back, a couple years ago, and he worked and worked and worked, and he just wanted to get some more time off. Everyone's saying that, well, Laurinaitis could have offered Jericho a lighter schedule, but I think Jericho was going to leave anyway. So I don't think how that's his fault. Now, how this pertains to CM Punk, I'm not 100% sure. The fact that CM Punk's been unhappy with WWE anyway, I don't really think it's John Laurinaitis' problem. To be 100% honest, it should be the writers and the people that have been mishandling CM Punk. When someone is not happy in a company, and the person that's trying to re-sign them tries to bring them back into the company, and they're not happy to be there, it shouldn't be that person's fault. Maybe he could have offered them more dates or less dates or promised them title shots, but again, when you're unhappy in a company, based upon what they've done with you, what they do for you, and how they work, nothing's going to get you to re-sign, and that's just a code of ethics. Personally, I feel that Laurinaitis is kind of he rips into things when he should keep his mouth shut, and he probably needs to. They say he makes the money that he makes. He's got stock options, and he should perform for the money he's paid. But again, at the same time, I'm not quite sure if this should be his initial fault. And in the last story here, GLAAD, the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against defamation, and is pissed off at CM Punk, who made a racial slur at a house show in Australia. Those of you that didn't catch that video, check it out. It's hysterical. Punk had apologized via Twitter and said, "My bad, my fault, I shouldn't have said it, blah, blah, blah." WWE haven't even had to apologize to GLAAD for saying, "No, this is all, not part of character. We don't condone this. Punk is leaving in July. It's not part of a storyline, blah, blah, blah." It was TMZ that actually broke the story with video footage, and I'll get to that in a second. And now there just seems to be this whole big debacle that, Punk's going out on the deep end. Well, here's the thing that I'm kind of upset about. Number one, GLAAD, Gay Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. You guys are all sorts of butthurt right now. And if you guys get that joke, 100 points. You guys are all butthurt over a guy who made a racial slur on a house show to a fan. Okay, now while I'm not one to say that you can say whatever you want and do as you want, I kind of get, we have lines and barriers. But here's the thing. Number one, you're talking about a group that wants to block, censor, or put some kind of political right against any kind of television program that gashes gays or lesbians. Understandable. It's completely understandable. I support them on that. But here's the other thing that's just kind of funny. Number one, it's at a house show. Those of you that don't know what a house show is, that means it's untelevised, which means you can't see it on television, which means it doesn't exist. CM Punk could have beaten John Cena 197 times at a house show, and it wouldn't have mattered because you don't see it on TV. Number two, if anyone watched the video, did you notice it didn't come from WWE.com? It didn't come from some kind of massive website. No, it came from a fan video. Those of you that have never been to a live event, it says right before the show starts, although we encourage you to take pictures and still pictures of your favorite WWE stars, we discourage the use of video photography or any kind of motion capture devices. If you are caught on the premises with these devices and used, they shall be confiscated, is subject to ejection and fined and possibly served up to 5 years in prison. Now, while I'm not going to sit here and say that, well, there's tons of people on YouTube that post live videos up anyway, let's ban them all, I'm not for that. But here's my kind of thing. Why is it that CM Punk is the one that gets the blame on a house show that doesn't even exist on the realm of television over a guy that did something illegal anyway at WWE who should be prosecuted or banned or whatever by, legal law? I'm all for the guy posting it up anyway, but I'm just saying the blame should go on him since he's the one that brought the story. Think about it. If he didn't bring the story to YouTube, TMZ never would have noticed and GLAAD never would have noticed. Kind of funny how that works out. So in this case, the fans kind of backfired. Anywho, back to the story. And then you have the third guy, the heckler, mind you, that is going back and forth with CM Punk. Okay, here's how it works, people. For those of you that don't really know what I'm talking about, a heckler is a fan that pays big money, gets paid big money to go to the events. Whether he's a casual fan, a hardcore fan, or just showing up for the first time. Let's get down to the basics. There's a good guy and a bad guy. Bad guys or heels are paid to come down to the ring and disturb the audience, rip up the banners, throw action figures, do whatever they can to rile up the crowd. It's their job. It's what they do. And CM Punk is a master at his craft. Those of you that don't know about CM Punk, look him up on Wikipedia. The guy is infamous. Just check YouTube. He's infamous for not only riling the crowd, but being the best in the business at shutting hecklers up. You guys really watched the video. The fan didn't quite get too offended when he was called a homo. In fact, he was more so offended at the fact that he had a faux hawk. But again, you notice he didn't jump over the barrier or sue WWE or do anything of that nature. No. In fact, you never heard the fan taking offense to it because he knows it's part of the show. He paid his big money to get those seats to heckle CM Punk. Yeah, he got thrown back into his place, but that's all part of the fun of it. CM Punk is a heel. That's what he's supposed to do. Yeah, he made a racial slur, but again, it wasn't on TV. And number two, who cares? This is something that always seems to piss me off. It seems that whenever Whenever WWE does something edgy or they do something off camera, some other fucking company on the other side of the world goes, no, bad, shame, you can't do that. Who cares? Were they watching the program? No, they just heard about it for 10 seconds on TMZ that just happened to break the news. I'm not going to bash TMZ over it. I'm not going to bash the fan over it. I'm not going to bash CM Punk. What I'm pissed off about is yet they're going to sit there and go, oh, CM Punk used the word homo. That's bad. That's bad. Oh, no, not, oh my God, the world is coming to an end. Yet you still have shows like South Park, Family Guy, CSI, and The Sopranos that not just use racial and gay slurs back and forth and here and there, but they kind of openly admit it. You know, Punk said one word that wasn't necessarily offensive. He just more so said, nice faux hawk, you homo. You know, it's kind of funny that I remember a couple years back, Miz was in Arizona, and the whole entire arena was saying Miz is gay. So what, Glad is going to come down and sue everybody that said Miz is gay? Who the hell cares? Look, I'm not going to sit here and say it's okay to bash someone and call him a homo or a rapist or anything of that nature. Of course, I'm not going to be against that. But this is something that happened off TV. This is a guy that got paid big money to go down to the seats and obviously heckle CM Punk. Whether he wanted to heckle him or he legitimately didn't like CM Punk and wanted to heckle him anyway. He got his money's worth. That's exactly what was going to happen. It's like stepping into the boxing ring with Mike Tyson. You're going to get your ass kicked. It's like getting into a sword fight with a samurai warrior. You're going to die. You knew what you were going to get yourself involved in, and you have some third-party group that had nothing to do with anything and should keep their noses out of the fucking business and back in the pockets where they belong and just let everything be. You know, this is something that, again, it always seems to piss me off whenever WWE does something behind the scenes, off the scenes, away from the scenes. It's not on TV. They follow all the guidelines. They do everything according to the code that every single third-party company has their hand in the cookie jar. There's way too many fucking hands in the cookie jar. It's kind of funny that now something that's not even on television, no one even knew about it unless a fan mentioned it or put it on YouTube. And when they said, oh, he said homo, that's it, we're going to suspend everything, blah, 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 blah. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. CM Punk may have apologized, but personally, he doesn't need to apologize because he did his job. He became a heel. He put the fan back in his place. He doesn't do this once a night. He does this all the time. This is something I've seen him do live when he comes here. He heckles the fans all the time. Who cares? That's what he's supposed to do. He's paid big bucks to heckle people. You know, I just find, let's not even forget about what the fan might have said to him. You really think Punk just walked up to a fan and just started attacking the guy? No, the fans are the ones that started, Punk just retaliates back. That's the mark of a good bad guy, a good villain, a good heel. Ooh, he used the word homo. You know, I'm surprised that a whole bunch of feminists didn't get off on the fact that he said, I only pick on women, that's why you're a woman, because you have a vagina. Why feminists aren't saying anything? Because they don't give a shit. They're off on Lifetime doing their own damn thing, and they honestly don't care because they have better things to do than to sit there and monitor every single little piece of a company that's trying to do something edgy, and of course they have to put their hand in it and say, no, stop production. What kind of pisses me off just a little bit, is WWE had the balls to say, we're sorry. They have no reason to be sorry. 15 years ago, Vince McMahon said in an open interview, you know, there's two buttons on the television, the power and the channel. If you don't like what you're watching, change the channel. It's not up to us to dictate what you watch. It's up to the parents. It's up to you people to dictate what you watch. And I think that's kind of part of the problem with this whole damn thing. Whenever WWE does something innovative, you get some company getting all butthurt and all upset and all angry that, oh, you can't say it on the air, you can't do this, you can't do that, and yet you have all these other thousands of programs that not only push the envelope, but they go way past the envelope. Yet you never hear anything about them. Is it because WWE is in the public eye, or is it because they have way too many damn hands in the cookie jar? Me, personally, I think everyone needs to shut up, let WWE do whatever the hell it wants, let the investors collect their money, and they can go sit in their fucking big old house on a big hill and just reap the benefits of all the things that they had nothing to do with the product, but yet are going to reap the benefits anyway like a stockbroker should. I am DM from That Wrestling Show. I can't wait to hear what you guys think about what I just said. Not just about the CM Punk thing, but about the other two stories. And of course, tune in to Beyond the Mat every Saturday at SideThePodcast.tripod.com. We got an open chat room, a live show, and we'll all talk and discuss all the other stories that are happening this week. And believe me, there's not a whole lot of stories happening on this week. And of course, don't forget to go to the brand new website at thatwrestlingshow.webs.com. Go there, sign the guest book, check it out. Little by little, things are going to be changing and moving around. And I'm still starting to put pieces together. There's 2 blogs on there. Check it out. There's also links to the affiliates at Phenom Forever, and of course the web forum, and of course the channel here on YouTube. I am DM from That Wrestling Show saying, have a good week, and I'll see you next time.